Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 23 of CurrentStatus on June 18th of 2015. My name is Teresa Miller, and you can find me on Twitter at 24/7 IT Connect.
And I'm Pumla Schmidt, one of the other co-hosts, and you can find me on Twitter at Exchange Goddess.
So this evening we have two guests with us to talk about Internet of Things, and we're going to have them introduce themselves. So first up, we have Steve Greenberg.
Hey guys, Steve Greenberg from Scottsdale, Arizona, where it was 115 degrees today. And you can find me at Twitter on a really confusing handle, at Steve Greenberg.
It is not straightforward at all. So real quick, Steve, you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself as well?
Sure. I'm a hopeless addict to technology. I've been involved in Citrix Technologies since about 1993. Citrix CTP, along with Teresa, who's part of the new group, and awesome. And I run a consulting firm out of Scottsdale, Think Client Computing, thinkclient.net, and just design, architect, implement data center systems of all types. Have for many years. I love doing it. And about January, February timeframe, I met the guys at Octoblu, and I jumped down the IoT rabbit hole, and it's just been an incredible adventure, which probably just peaked today at Local Motors, and we'll talk about that. So I got a lot of technology history and some exposure to IoT, and I'd love to talk about it tonight.
Excellent. And we also have with us this evening Chris Mattheiu. I hope I'm saying that correctly. My apologies if it's not. From the Octoblu gang and Citrix. Please feel free to introduce yourself.
Hey, thanks, Teresa. Yeah, it's been Americanized, so it's just Mattheiu now. So Chris Mattheiu here, co-founder of Octoblu. We've been building IoT technology for a couple of years now. We were acquired by Citrix December of 2014. And prior to this rabbit hole, as Steve put it, I was working for one of the world's largest construction companies that was into all sorts of things from nuclear power stations, military contracts, communications, cell tower, infrastructure, gold mining, and I think the Internet of Things was pretty exciting in my thought process of what I was doing there, heading up emerging technologies. So I'm super excited to be here with you guys, and Synergy was a blast.
Awesome. Yeah, we're glad to have you. I just noticed somebody else joined the call.
I tweeted the link.
Did we send out the wrong link?
We're going to see how many people Google can handle.
Uh-oh.
Well, maybe we could pull that real quick so that people join with the right one. All right, so we'll get that corrected. So, Internet of Things, you know, sometimes is referred to as Internet of Everything. Would one of you like to just explain high level what that means?
Yeah, so I think Internet of Things is the buzzword, you know, of the du jour. Yeah, that's where everyone's trying to figure out how can they IoT enable their products today, right? And when you kind of think about it, just things talking to other things is kind of awesome, but kind of boring real quick. I think Cisco coined the term Internet of Everything, and which was I think a good play on the market, because now you're starting to, at least it makes you think of things, wearable devices, maybe systems and APIs and people, which is what Octoblu's main tenet is. We want to connect anything to everything. But Mark Templeton of Citrix, the CEO, he spun it around even more, like he's good at, and he calls it IOE, the integration of everything, which I think does a better job explaining how everything needs to interact and communicate, like on one internet platform, one common platform.
Yeah, that's a good description. I like that. That makes sense. So how can Internet of Things change the way we live? Or maybe even let's talk about the workplace. Let's start there. What do you think that vision is?
Well, isn't the Internet of Things just Skynet?
Oh no, here we go.
Well, let me tell you a story about that.
I had to bring it up.
Yeah, I was watching Terminator.
Every time we say Skynet, I'm going to take a swig.
Yeah.
And,
oh boy! All right.
Here's the story. I was watching Terminator for the 150th time, and I saw how the robots were interacting, and no matter what, you couldn't take them down. It was a mesh. Wait a minute. That was Chris, not me. Hold on, that was Chris.
Yeah, Hawaii, the Hydrobots, the Hydrobots talking to the T-800s, talking to the drones. It's like mesh network, you can't take it down. But the aha was, that's pretty awesome. What if you could do that for good?
But eventually, don't they like develop one of their own, and then take over the world and try to kill us?
Yeah, that was where it all went south. And in I think it was Terminator 3. The person that invented the actual Skynet, that they came back in time and killed him. So we'll find out if we're really successful in a little while.
Chris, look out behind you. Right now.
Mohi 3D printed me a Terminator head.
Nice.
That's so cool.
I think I'll have to go watch Terminator when it comes out. What? 2 weeks? Next week?
Oh yeah. I'll throw out a commentary, a little bit different perspective if I could, more of a personal take on it. I've been around long enough to kind of be here when the public internet came up, and I was on the internet really early on a high-speed connection based on where I worked at the time, and I saw everything happen, and I had really good bandwidth from day one. Actually, I had better bandwidth in 1993 than I do today at home on my DSL. But in 93, 94, even 95, 96, you knew something was happening. You saw the ability to communicate. You saw resources popping up, interesting inventions and utilizations, but you didn't quite know where it was going to go. We didn't have Facebook yet. Amazon might have existed, I don't think so. The big search engine was Alta Vista. You knew something was happening, but you couldn't say exactly how it was going to be used, but it was huge. That's how I kind of anecdotally look at IoT right now. We've done some things. Octoblu is doing some great applications. I came up with that demo at Synergy. Cool. Those are good ideas, but something big is happening, and it's probably beyond what we can totally foresee right now. But Chris and I will give you some things about what we can do today and what it means in the short term.
Yeah, that would be great.
I think to put it in context, I think to frame what Steve was talking about, the analysts are saying that we're only at like 2 billion connected devices today, and in the next 4.5 years, by 2020, there's going to be 50 billion, with a B, connected devices. They're also saying that the market value of IoT, whether it's new revenues coming to the market through IoT or savings through efficiencies that sensors are creating in processes, that it's going to range from $3 trillion to $14 trillion market by 2020. They're saying that this is bigger than the Industrial Revolution, and when you look around at all the devices coming to market, they're all connecting to the internet. The problem is they don't know how to talk to each other, and that's the problem we're trying to solve.
Do you think we can ever get into an overload of IoT?
So I think that's a great question, and I think about that a lot. I think as we're talking about 50 billion connected devices, I don't have time to manage the devices in my life today. So what I hope is that, like in Skynet, cheers, that they learn how to talk to each other to make my life better, right?
Mm-hmm. So where do you think the security in that will lie? We have all these devices connecting to the internet. How can I prevent or make sure that my phone isn't taken over, or whatever drone I decide to control with IoT isn't hijacked by somebody that I don't want playing with it?
That's a big question and a big conversation, because every vendor essentially is it's up to each vendor to control the security of their own device, whether it's connected to the internet or not. The Octoblu platform, we take security very seriously. Everything is encrypted in transit. All the payloads are encrypted with your data inside of them. There's whitelists and blacklists and UUIDs, all of this stuff. But as secure as we try to make the IoT platform, it always still comes back down to the device manufacturer. Have they secured the device properly?
True. So let's say they don't, and they leave a back door for government agencies to potentially, get in.
Well,
I mean, do we see that? Do
you
we
really
see
know
that?
how to lob them.
I'm just saying like it hasn't happened already.
So that's a two-pronged
shot at it.
question there.
Yeah, let me take a shot at that.
Go for it, Steve.
I think it's not just because there's 100 billion devices or 50 billion. It's the same issue as if you have 2 devices, right? So it's good security practice. The technology is there. The problem is people. The problem is people leaving things unpatched or bad passwords or poor coding. That's not going to change. So it's the same issue we have today, I think. I don't think IoT has a greater security exposure than what we do today. I think we're already in trouble, frankly. And so, the people responsible for security just need to step it up overall. It's just another area where it matters, I think.
So you don't think it just adds more, not more risk, but more opportunities for us to be exposed?
I'm starting to see IoT security companies pop up, and I saw an IoT virus prevention company pop up, and I was like, wow, what are they going to do? But anyhow, I think you're right. I think there's lots of new opportunity.
Because, let's say my refrigerator, it's connected to the internet, and let's say there's a back door, and some government agency or whatever decides to use it, and they could literally spy on me and what I'm doing at home.
Well, that thing you're eating now looks really good. If I had your password, I'd steal it.
It's a pizza and a Bordeaux.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people were paranoid when the Nest came out. That Google can now know everything about your living patterns, right? They know when you're home, when you're away. Motion detection is now part of the picture. So I think trust really plays a part in who you select, which vendor products you select to surround your life, right?
That's true. It'll be reputation, and they'll have to prove themselves as well.
But I see IoT as providing a different benefit. And in the demo I did at GeekSpeak, what we did was we took all these various objects that would be on your desk and in your environment, and we made them meaningful. We made them tell us things. So if this works, I'll hold this up, for example. This little miniature storage cabinet was monitoring our storage environment. And when we ran out of space and IOPS, the motors inside this thing, I don't know how you can see it, they would start vibrating and open the door, right? And this little robot that Chris gave me, I put a little motor in the back of him, and I controlled him. So rather than being scared that someone's going to steal my fridge code, I'm making the things in my environment talk to me, because it's the Internet of Things. I don't want to log on to 5 consoles to see what's going on with my system. I just make my things tell me what's happening. So the key, the featured guy was this cat, and his eyes are neopixels, and he's motorized so he can turn and change his patterns. And when the system was good, his eyes were green, and his arm was just doing what you typically see one of these lucky cats. And then when the system started to have a problem, he turned yellow and he started moving. He got my attention. Hey, Steve, there's something wrong with your system. You can see all the wires hanging out. This thing is packed like crazy electronics inside. And then it went on, and we had other things on the desk, but eventually he went crazy and started shooting lasers out of his chest. And it's just a novelty. It's kind of over the top. But the point is, it's the things in my environment talking to me. So I don't really care if somebody hacked my cat. It's just a bunch of motors and lights.
You would just start shooting lasers out.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Did you guys ever see humans becoming connected with implants?
That's a great
Chips?
question. I personally don't like that. My own feeling about it, but yes, I definitely do. There's the beginnings of it, and like if you guys ever seen the Mayo, it's a kind of a bracelet that goes on your arm. It measures your muscle impulses, and you can control things with Bluetooth. There's brainwave activity. Chris mentioned Mohib. He just told me today in Washington, D.C. at the National Maker Fair, they created a little pyramid, like the pyramid on the dollar, the eye in the pyramid. And if you could focus your brain waves, it would smoke up and light would come out. So it was measuring your ability to concentrate. But the important piece of information everyone should know is none of the congressmen who came over and tried it were able to focus enough to activate it. So we should be aware of that.
That's great.
That's funny.
Steve, I think to your comments too, I mean, we're starting to play with some really interesting office use cases around IoT. So, Citrix is big in the software-defined workplace, and Mark Templeton had threw a challenge out to us. Everyone, including Citrix, we have this problem of 5 to 10 minutes of wasted time at the beginning of every meeting. I don't know if you guys have this problem where you're trying to dial the bridge up, you're trying to find the right cables to get the display up and the lighting and calling people that are late. Everyone has this problem. We created an Octoblu flow that you walk into a conference room, there's an iBeacon that says, hey, Teresa just walked into the conference room. Does she have any GoToMeeting scheduled? If so, turn the lights on, dial the bridge so it's ringing as you walk in, you're answering it, and then throw your presentation up on the wall using Chromecast so it's wireless. You don't have to fiddle for the wires anymore. And then start the recording of the meeting. And when the meeting is over, upload the recording to ShareFile, have ShareFile send an email to all the participants. Oh, and by the way, if there's some that are late, have it text them and say, reminder, you're late for the meeting, it's in progress. And then when you're done, the meeting's done, turn the lights off and reset the conference room for the next person.
Which is awesome. Yeah. That could be so handy.
So I like to think of it as convenient automation versus like the robots taking over. Make your life easier, I don't want to fiddle with all these different things. I want it to just work. I mean, this example really outdates me, but we used to talk about how your grandma could never set the clock on the VHS player. Like, you couldn't figure it out. In the IoT world, it's more like, hey, Siri, set my VCR to this time, and things would talk to each other. It's a bad example because now a modern device is going to go to the internet and get the time. But you see the point I'm saying is more about convenience and making things work for you, because we're kind of slaves to our devices and our technology right now. And I'd like to see us be freer. So you were asking, like, well, do you see it being in your body and part of your body? Maybe, but I also want to stop having to think about all this stuff. I just want the things around me to do things for me. So I see it as a convenience, not an imposition.
Wouldn't that almost make us lazy then? Or are we just working more efficiently?
I'm already really lazy, just to let you know.
That's why you automate. You automate everything, right? I saw a guy one time that had outsourced his own job. He was paying someone overseas to do his own job for him.
That was awesome. Yeah, that guy set up a VPN.
My.
Did you cut out there?
Yep, now I'm back. So, the Alexa, the Amazon Echo, Steve, talking about talking to things, that is becoming almost a part of my home experience. Yep. I can just talk to her, and she's connected to Octoblu now. I can say, hey, Alexa, do I have any meetings today? And she talks back, yes, you have one at 1. Like, I got my own Jarvis. It's like Jarvis from
Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Yeah. I need one of those. Something.
I'm sorry. Did you guys see what Chris was demonstrating at Synergy? I don't know if it was in the public ones. We saw some private ones, but it's the Amazon Echo. It's a little tower. You talk to it. How much effort was it to integrate into Octoblu, Chris? Like most things.
It's super simple. You do have to define like some keywords, like meetings and stuff like that, and then you tell her what trigger in Octoblu to fire, and then at the end of your flow, you tell it like what Alexa should should speak back to you. And I mean, it's like 5 minutes per task type of a setup. But then the more you teach her, the more she knows.
Well, I should probably explain a little bit about what Chris is referring to. Octoblu is a platform that runs on the internet, or it can run on dedicated devices. And flows are little graphical flow charts you create that can do what you want. Any device or node that's been defined in Octoblu is drag and drop. You can write new ones if you want to, kind of like Node.js applications. Looking into the code, they're actually pretty simple. And then you just tell these things what you want it to do. So I don't know, Chris, I saw you bringing up a flow. If we can share that, that might be something good to show.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's just a graphical drag and drop, and you can tell it to do what you want. So when I created my big IoT workspace demo, I just had a bunch of objects I dragged and dropped and said, when the data coming from Splunk on the storage array hits this number, do these things. You guys see that screen now?
Yeah, this is the screen I used when I was talking about automating the conference room. You can see all the little nodes, what was happening, when you walk into a conference room. The iBeacon's on the left, and then all the events of what happens follows, when it's activated.
So I was fortunate to see one of the demos with Alexa, and you did modify one of these to change. You were controlling a light, and you changed the color of the light, and then initiated that with Alexa. So is the goal of this product then to have those workflows managed by like administrators in the office space? Is that?
It could be.
So would that be me changing that, or?
Can I take that one? Because I have strong feelings about that. I want to say something about that.
You have a lot of strong feelings.
Did you notice that? What I see Octoblu doing is, and I wrote a blog about this, we had the whole consumerization of IT that was going on for a bunch of years.
It still is.
Yeah, and this is, to me, the consumerization of engineering. And exactly as Teresa said, any sysadmin who can do basic scripting or PowerShell or any of the kinds of things that we use every day to automate, manage standard environments, nothing fancy, can get into Octoblu, read through it, learn a little JavaScript, and they can do stuff. And you can do most things drag and drop. So I think you hit it on the head, Teresa. This is a way for admins, a smart person in an office, the IT guy, to go, hey, let's automate our building, or what are we doing in our warehouse? And now the guy who works in IT can do it. It used to be an industrial engineer and require special microcode and arcane little devices that you don't even know where to buy. Now you buy an Arduino or Raspberry Pi, you figure out a little coding, you stay up late, and a day or two later you're running stuff.
So a new feature, we're now calling these flows, like templates of these flows, blueprints without the E. And now there's a whole marketplace now where you can share and discover other people's flows. So you could type in Twitter or something, and you'd see all the flows that people have created that use the Twitter nodes. So then you can say, import that one, and then now you can experiment with it or add things to it. And I really think that that's going to help the whole ecosystem grow, by leveraging what other people are building on top of the platform.
I believe at Synergy, weren't you using it to do some Twitter like analytics?
Yeah, like sentiment analysis. We were watching tweets showing like good or bad tweets.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Let me drill into that one a little bit, because I want the listeners to understand what that's describing. You can take a little drag and drop flow and say, look for this hashtag, like we did at GeekSpeak tonight. Look for GeekSpeak. And the sentiment engine's looking, if someone said like, wow, this event is awesome, we had it add to the tally of green and light up more LED greens. But if like the sentiment could figure out somebody said geek speak really sucks, it figured out that's a negative, and it would light up the red lights and drag and drop. In fact, we didn't have the hashtag set up. If you watch the geek speak video, I thought we were going to, and we didn't. I said, "Well, we have a hashtag." He said, "No." You hold on. A minute later, he goes, "Now we do," with sentiment. Literally drag and drop. Someone who's smart figures out what's the Twitter API. You don't have to know. You just decide what values you're looking for and what do you want to do when it finds it.
So from the automotive perspective, I think you guys are doing some pretty cool things as well. Is that something you'd be willing to talk about this evening?
Oh, absolutely. We recently, we're doing a few things. We recently connected the Tesla, so people that are fortunate enough to own a Tesla, you can now at any time check their battery state and, like, say if it's less than 50% at night, send you a text message to remind you to plug it in. So you can do all sorts. You can honk your horn from halfway around the world or wherever you want with Octoblu. We also at Local Motors, there is a rally fighter. It's this $100,000, like 700 horsepower racing, off-road racing car that we've connected to Octoblu, and you can control, you know, the headlights, the hazard lights, the door locks, the windshield wipers, all through Octoblu. And what's funny is it's got a little Raspberry Pi in the glove box that's controlling all of this. So we were kind of thinking, it's like that was an interesting experiment, but now you could take that little cookie cutter approach that we did on that car and roll that out to every car in the world if you wanted to just connect the cars en masse, you know? That's
Wow.
pretty cool. You could build a company that just does that and probably retire in a couple of years.
And I could see someone would say, well, why would I want to affect my windshield wipers from my smartphone? Maybe it's a little silly, but it's only one step away from voice command of a car. It's a platform that would let me say, Alexa, Siri, or whatever my girl computer name of the week is, you know, make the headlights brighter. It's fine.
Yeah.
Don't they have guy names? It used to be HAL 9000 in Space Odyssey.
Did you ever see that movie, Her? That's what you started to remind me.
Her? No.
Oh gosh.
You've got to watch it, yeah.
The guy falls in
It's
love
called-
with the smartphone.
Yeah.
Really? Oh my. Okay. Yeah. Is it really worth watching?
No.
Okay. All right. So that's cool. Steve, I was going to ask, what's the, like, yeah, why would I want something to control my windshield wipers? But I think that was a really good explanation. The voice control of a vehicle, that's really cool.
You could put an Amazon Echo in the car, and that's your voice control, I think. Move
Yeah.
Jarvis to the car. You know, and two, think about geolocation. You might want to say when I'm leaving the house and the geocode is going away from my house, could you just remember to do all the security checks of the house? You know, now, you know, so it's one less thing I have to remember. I leave in my car and the house gets shut, like a lockdown.
It's actually convenient.
Yeah.
It is. So it goes back to what we said earlier, what Steve said earlier, in that, like, the Internet of Things is really about automating the things around us, right? To simplify our lifestyle a little bit more, and we can be lazy.
Yeah. We can sit around the pool and, you know, just veg.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's like anything. Since I work in data center design and enterprise environments, we automate all the time. We improve performance. We simplify. We're not getting people fired. We don't go in and create an awesome VDI solution and now they fire the IT team. They do more valuable tasks. Instead of, you know, rebooting hardware servers all the time, they're looking at user performance. They're looking at the applications. Can they get the updates out faster? Can they understand the users better? In fact, our practice is switching, especially in environments like we use hyperconvergence, where you build the entire infrastructure in a day. We focus more on understanding the users and the business, and you want it to move up the chain. So it's a good thing. It's not like people are getting fired. It's like they can do more valuable work for the organization.
Right.
Instead of like, you know, fixing the same old crappy servers every day, they could be writing Octoblu flows to, you know, automate processes for the company.
I like watching the Jetsons every now and then and looking at see like, you know, Rosie the robot like making the meals, doing the laundry. It's like, you know, if we can get that under control, then maybe we could be a little bit more lazy, right? Or do more what we want to do.
There you go.
Okay, I
Riding
don't
in
mind if you hack.
motorcycles.
I don't mind if you hack my cat, but you can't hack my Rosie. I want my dinner.
Oh, that's
Selective
awesome. So this has been so fun. We are at time, so we need to call it an evening. Thank you, Chris and Steve, for joining us this evening.
Oh, thank you. It was our pleasure.
This is great, and you're the first people ever to get Chris and Steve to talk in less than 30 minutes. So congratulations.
We'll have to,
We'll have to tweet it. We'll have to tweet that too.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, everybody watching CurrentStatus this evening, thank you for joining us, and have a great night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Cheers.
you.